In this lesson, we'll finish out the rest of our subcomponents. Alright, so let's jump on to our right side here. So again, just like we did before, we're going to create the geometry and add a few simple attributes. So right click, and I want to go from this corner to that corner. And I want my measurements to be 1 foot for the depth, so 1 foot, comma, and then also for my material thickness, 0.75, hit enter. And just like we did before, oops, here, keep doing that. Scroll in here and just double click on the two-dimensional geometry we just created. Type in G on your keyboard. And now we're going to call this one right with a capital R. So R-I-G-H-T. Go ahead and do create to create that component there or subcomponent. Now double click on it. And we're going to go ahead and pull that to our height of 5 feet. So type in 5 feet. And there we go. We have our subcomponent in place. So go ahead and right click on it, go to component attributes, and let's go ahead and add a couple of attributes. So we'll say add attribute, and like we've been doing, you can kind of see the theme here now, is we're going to go ahead and add our position, add all. Let's go ahead and do the same thing with our size, add all. And again, we're going to mess with these a little bit later. So if you check this out here, I'm going to go ahead and close out of this. Let's do a quick measurement just to make sure we're on track here. This should be 5 feet. So I'm going to go ahead and measure from the corner here to the corner here, and that is 5 feet. So now you understand a little bit better why we kind of offset that in by the material thickness. So a little bit later on, we're actually going to be playing around with some formulas, and one thing I want you to keep in mind is this material thickness example we're talking about, because you will notice something or a variable within one of the formulas is going to be something like 2 times the material thickness, which is basically this plus this. And again, we'll get into that a little bit later, but there we go. We've taken care of that side. So let's go ahead and hit up the top. So I'm going to go rectangle, making sure I'm not highlighted and inside any of these other components. And I'm going to go ahead and do my rectangle from this area. So we'll go from inside corner there to inside corner there. Double click your 2D geometry. Type G in your keyboard. Type capital T-O-P for the name. Go ahead and click create. Let's go ahead and double click on it and extrude that or pull that 0.75, which will be our material thickness. And that material thickness will actually be a parameter we'll add a little bit later. So last but not least, let's take care of this back side. So we're going to go ahead and place that. So we'll grab our rectangle tool one more time. Back side's going to be right over here. We'll start from this corner. And again, this is going to be a little bit different of a dimension, but we're still going to add similar behaviors to it. So I know I want it to be 5 foot, my first, and then 1/4 of an inch for thickness. So we'll say 5 foot, making sure I got foot in there correctly, comma, 0.25. Should give me my little guy here. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll in as close as I can get. I'm going to double click on my 2D geometry, making sure everything's highlighted. Type in G again, and this time we're going to call this one back with a capital B, B-A-C-K. Say create. Go ahead and double click it. Pull it. 5 feet. Go to your point tool here, or your select tool. Let's scroll out. Take a look at what we've created here. We've created our very first little bookcase here. So what we're going to do next is we're going to start applying some formulas to each one of these recreated. And I believe we still need to add some attributes, so we'll do that really quick before we get the formulas in place. So right click, dynamic components, attributes. Let's add an attribute for our top. So for my top, I believe the top's going to be pretty simple as well. Top's probably just going to have a positioning and also a size. So go ahead and go to position, add attribute and size. And for the back, I believe we still need to add something, so go ahead and do that. Right click on it, add components, attributes, and again for the back, position and size as well. Add all, add attribute, size, add all. And again, we'll plug in all these formulas and parameters a little bit later. I mainly want to get our geometry in place and then our attribute categories in place first. So I think we're in good shape. Let me double check this one. I'm going to right click, make sure I have all my attributes in place. We are good. See here, we're up, didn't add options yet, but go to attributes. So we're in good shape. And if not, we can always go back after the fact and add. So let me make sure my shelf is good. All right, so now what we want to do is we want to highlight all these elements like I told you before. Highlight everything. Type in G. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create the overall bookshelf. So it's going to be important you type this in exactly how I have it, because again, our formulas are going to be referencing all these subcomponents, their positioning, and all the things we're adding here. So type in bookshelf with a capital B, bookshelf, all one word. Go ahead and do create. And now when we come to this, highlight it, and if you right click on it, bring up your component attributes. Check this out, our overall category and our sub categories, or our main component and our subcomponents within our main component. So this is a pretty good stopping place. So what we're going to do next is we're going to start adding some more formulas. And I'm going to start off really simple with formulas for our, or maybe some attributes for our overall bookcase here. And then we'll get into working with formulas, and I'll show you how we can control the behavior with those formulas. So hold on, sit tight. We'll get ready to start working with some information we're going to plug into this model. And I'll meet you in the next lesson.